they're going to come back as a smaller company. Right?
Okay. Well, that's good.
But they no longer make film.
And it's not profitable.
Yes.
All right. If we could start the interview, I've started recording already. I think we get you to introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is David Newhouse. I come from Six Nations of the Grand River. I'm Onondaga. I'm a professor here at Trent. I've been chair of Indigenous Studies since 1993. So it's 18 years.
18 years.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the academy?
Since 93, so 18 years as well. So,
working at universities and working within the academic realm?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So close to 18. Yeah, 18 years.
18 years. What is your background?
My background? Do you mean academic background or do you mean cultural background?
Both.
Both? Well, I'm Onondaga. I grew up in Six Nations. I left Six Nations in '72 to go to university. I grew up in a very traditional environment. I grew up as a member of the Longhouse at Six Nations. My father was a condole chief in Confederacy. And my academic background is business administration and computer studies. I graduated in computer studies in 1972, or 75, right? We had I had more computer power in my pocket than we had in the entire university. Back then. Right. Yeah.
It's been the foundation of it. What is your involvement with the Elders Gathering?
My involvement with the gathering? I've been pushing for faculty to speak at the Elders Gathering every year, to talk about their work, to talk about how we're dealing with Indigenous knowledge inside the academy. So we have 1 or 2 sessions every year from faculty talking about their work. So, and that's what I do at the Elders Gathering. So I'm listening to what people are saying and trying to get a sense of what people are talking about as well. I mean, the Elders Gathering used to be, or at least the Elders Gathering is now a joint effort by the First Peoples House and the department. In the past, it used to be only a department activity, right? We didn't have the First Peoples House. And so this is the first year that we really had the First Peoples House, there was a director before it. And so now it's this joint venture. So this is what, 35th year? I don't know if that's really the 35th year. It's probably closer to 40. Right? Yeah. It's fine. So, yeah. Early, when it started, that's a bit of a controversy. No question.
I know what happens then.
As well. But it was the first Elders Gathering. And now they're most universities right now. Right? They also turn involved community organizations as well. So at one point in the early 90s, I guess, or sort of, I guess in the late 90s, we had about 3,000 people who would come to the Elders Gathering. And we took up every hotel room between here and Port Hope. So it was an incredibly large weekend. We needed security in order to, because the rooms were so packed. They exceeded the fire capacity. Right? And we weren't able to manage that, so we shut it down for 1 year and refocused it. And this year we moved it for the first time, right, from the weekend prior to start reading break, because we wanted students to be able to come, and they were all leaving, right? They are going on reading break, so they would leave on Wednesday or Thursday. And so this year we moved it a week before the reading break, and that seems to work. There are many more students as well.
So the red lines is
That's right. So it's been at least a good move, right, as well. And there's more elders involved this year. There are 14 or so officially involved this year, up from 8 to 10 last year. So it's been quite good. A very good variety of elders. The issue where we have difficulty still is the north. Right? It's quite expensive for Inuit elders in the north. People are asking for Inuit elders as well. We have Métis elders, we have Aboriginal elders, but Inuit elders,
you see like the involvement of Indigenous knowledge within Canada? Like how do you see that that's different from like Western-based knowledge systems?
What it does, it brings another set of ideas, right? Another way of thinking about the world, another way of thinking about ethics, right? Thinking about relationships to a group of people. And it begins the process of exploring these in a contemporary sense. And what we see and what we heard was that people really want to be able to build lives, ordinary lives, based on traditional ideas, based on cultural ideas. And so by bringing IK to the academy, presented it in the classroom, presented it in the courses, right? What we do is we help people to begin that process of interpretation. And they come with ideas, right? They begin to ask questions. What does it mean to live in a relationship, right? What does respect mean? What does interconnectedness mean? What does holistic mean? And those are sort of general ideas that need to be interpreted in specific contexts, in specific organizations or practice. And so what we're trying to do, in a sense, is then to build what I call communities of practice. That is a group of people who are familiar with these ideas, who are working with the ideas, who are interpreting these ideas, and then beginning to use them as the basis for individual action or for collective action. There's no other place where this is occurring in this form. Other universities they bring in elders for guest speakers, they bring in elders for bits and pieces of courses, or they begin to take students out of the university, right, for 1 or 2 days to work with elders for traditional people. Right? And so IK is sort of marginal to what they're doing. And here we're trying to bring in IK so it's foundational to what we do. So that we both have knowledge holders, and we also have people who are thinking about the knowledge in an academic sense. So they bring both of those together. And what Fred Wheatley, who was here in the 1980s as a language teacher, elder, talked very much about the need to live in the world you find yourself in. Because the students kept asking, is this relevant? Or is this knowledge relevant? And how is all this useful? And he kept saying, well, you've got to live in the world you find yourself in. And so all this knowledge is to help you to live better right in that world that you find yourself in. And so that's what we've been doing for now, close to 40 years. And you try everything, right? You try it. We don't know. We never know what's going to happen. We never know what's going to occur, right? In the countries that happen as well. And so, we also try very much to ensure that everyone is well, not just Aboriginal students, right? Not just elders, right? Not just faculty in the university, but also community members, but also non-Indigenous community members, right? Non-Indigenous students. Our interest is always in this dialogue, always in ensuring that people understand who we are, understand what we're trying to do, understand the knowledge we bring to the table, and know what it is and are comfortable with it, and then learn from it as well, so they can use it. We're interested in having non-Indigenous students understand Indigenous knowledge and use it as a basis for learning. For the first year, this year, we have a course which Laura Thompson put together called Indigenous Wisdom for 21st Century Organizations, which is really IK for business people, business students, right? And so we have this term of the course in which Doug and Michael Thrasher and other elders, right, are coming in to speak on the business about Indigenous knowledge, so that they're encountering a different way of seeing the world. They're encountering a different ethical position. And so we're talking about what does it mean, right, to talk about the duty of care, right? Because what does it mean to think about the earth as your mother in a corporate sense? What responsibilities does it change the way in which you think about your work? So we're trying to start that dialogue with business students, because they're talking about sustainability. They're interested in sustainability. We have an MA program on sustainability right here in Trent, right? And so it's a joint program between business and environmental studies and Indigenous studies. So we're trying to bring in Indigenous ideas and make sure they're part of this. Ideas that students leave here with. And they also know some of the practices, right? We're also trying to ensure that people are aware. So they don't just become something abstract that's over here. Right? We also demonstrate people are actually working with these ideas. So that's what we're trying to do, is this large dialogue, right? And bring our own ideas to the table and begin that process of exploration. Right, in this place. And then we change. That's why.
You've heard of, this kind of steers away from the interview guide, but you've heard of the 8 Fire series, and kind of like in the last episode, Bob mentioned that there's time for a new relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples, and that's kind of what the 8 Fire represents. And I was wondering, what do you think the inclusion of like Indigenous knowledge within Trent University and within the knowledge systems that we teach, do you think that initiates a relationship, or like that helps them open the relationship?
Well, I think it helps to create an openness, because there is a great deal of mystery about Indigenous knowledge. There's also a great deal of mystery and misunderstanding about Indigenous people. There are incredible stereotypes about who we are, right, and about what we have to offer. And the mainstream society sees us primarily as a problem. They see us through the lens of the Indian problem. And so it means, to a large extent, that we don't have anything to offer. And when we begin to talk about the 8 Fire, begin to talk about pay, we begin to say, well, we do have something to offer. And so we present those ideas for training. And it begins to help people to understand that we do have something, and there's something tangible here. My belief is that you can't create social change if you believe that people are problems. And so when we talk about 5K, what we're trying to do is also say that we have thought about society. We have thought about the structure of society. We thought about how to live well together. And those are the ideas that we want to use to solve the problems within our communities. And this is how we want to move forward. And we invite you to help us to do that. We don't want you to do things for us. We want you to help us to do things for ourselves. And that's the approach that we're trying to take here. And that's a different approach than I think has been taken in. That's why I like the 8 Fire. I spoke with people who were doing 8 Fire at the beginning. I suggested very strongly that what they do is they focus upon what people are doing, right, to help their own communities. Right, we're now working with checks, right, in order to do something local, right, and taking the same approach, saying there's an incredible amount of effort underway within our own communities to solve our own problems, right, to deal with our own issues that people aren't seeing. So let's talk about the vitality, let's talk about the efforts, let's talk about what we're doing, right? And let's try to show that, right? So that people see us, right, as active participants in their own lives. And so we'll see what happens, right, with that. We'll see what checks does, right? Over the next short while. But I think it's important, right, if we're going to begin to make some headway with the rest of Canada, that they see us differently, and that they see us as active, right, as having a set of ideas and having a political objective. And I think that we've been following. We've followed. We prepared a paper 2 years ago, right, in which what we said, this is for the Assembly of First Nations on economics, and we said the basic strategy that Aboriginal people have been following was set in the 1970s, right, in a report called Wobble, or Tomorrows. Right, and they said, this is a strategy. Okay, 40 years later, what have we achieved? So we're following a consistent strategy. I'm doing some work at the present time in trying to identify what Indigenous leaders have been saying about Canada for the last 250 years or so, right? Because there's an incredible dialogue about our relationship with Canada. Right? And the conventional approach is that we have not been vocal, right, in expressing our ideas, right? But when you begin to look at the historical record, right, there's an incredible, right, conversation, right, with Canada about how we want to be treated. Right? That is extended. Right? That's not protest, right? That goes beyond protest. Conversation, and here's, right, how we want to be seen. Here's how we want a relationship to evolve. The latest example was the Royal Commission on Aboriginal People. And the Royal Commission, right, is an incredible political statement about Canada, about the relationship with Canada. And it sets out the foundation for a Canada that includes Aboriginal people in a respectful way. And you begin to see, right, John Ralston Saul begins to talk about, right, Canada and the political culture of Canada, right, as being, he says Canada's political culture is a Métis culture, right, composed of Aboriginal and European ideas, right, English and French ideas. So you begin at least to see a small shift in which, okay, maybe he's right, right? As well. But all of this confidence helps that as well at the local level, in which local community members, non-Aboriginal members come in, right, to begin to see, right, the incredible work that's underway. Right, to begin to encounter ideas about medicine, they begin to encounter ideas about spirituality, or about spirituality and other stuff. And they begin to see people doing things, right, and act upon their ideas. And so it helps them to say, okay, well, if they're doing this, how can I be doing that? In a positive sense, as opposed to how do I solve this problem? And that's what we're trying to do. And then that's the spirit, and what you're trying to do, I think, is with Red Media Alliances, right? And trying to look at the images that are being presented, right, as well, as the media said, how they present Aboriginal people, and begin to say, well, there's something different here. That's why I really like the work that you're doing. I think I answered all your questions.
I was just going to say that I think you did. Is there anything else you would like to share for the general public, or advice for us going forward, or?
Well, I think what is important is that somehow we make visible all of the work that is happening within our own communities, all of the alliances that are occurring as well, because there's a lot of places where Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal are working together. All of that is totally invisible, okay, as well. And when people look at the friendship centers as an example, they see them only as community centers. But when you look at the people who are involved in that, they are sites where Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal are coming together in order to benefit from both communities. The centers were always had non-Aboriginal people as part of their boards, right, as part of their staff, right? And they always work with non-Aboriginal communities as well. So that sort of relationship building has never been seen, right, being made visible. Right, so all that work, I think, has to be seen, right, as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Enjoy.
You're welcome.